Hey, welcome back, family, to the 2023 Best of My Collection video for numbers 11 through 30. I've already done the video for 31 through 50. Hopefully you watched that already. And I still haven't put any of the books back up on the wall. These are the books that did not make my lists. So if you want to see what some of these books are, stick around. Hey, so welcome back again. So what I do when I make my list is I have the my house is on fire mentality. I don't necessarily put books into perspective of value. You know, it's a big contributor, don't get me wrong, but there's also personal value, what it means. Did it spark a memory? Does it mean something also to Mrs. Ohana? Because, you know, that's a big one. If anybody is out there that's married knows that. So what I do is I take everything into consideration, how hard it is to replace, all that. And that's right one of the first books on the list. You'll see that. And if my house was on fire and I had time to run in and grab one book, I run in, I get one book and I come back out. Obviously, that's number one. That would be the most important book to me. So, I have time. The house is still not that bad. I can run and get one more book. And I'd run in, I grab one more book, and I come running back out. That's number two. That's the second most important book to me, considering everything. So if I was able to run back and forth 30 times, coming in at number 30, we've got the Whitman Pinocchio from 1939. This is I guess you call it prestige size, more a magazine size. It's the big books. And even on the back cover, which looks really nice, you've got, I can't remember the name of those cats. Wolves, sorry. Wolf and cat. I'm sure somebody will put it in the comments. I hope somebody puts it in the comments. I would love to see comments down there. So this is one of the best books. I got this one for Mrs. Ohana. She loves it. She's happy about that, about having this one in the collection. And all books that belong to Mrs. Ohana are graciously loaned for this video. So now we're going to switch to number 38. 29. Oh, 29. There we go. Can't even count. Okay, so this is from 1978. It's not a major. It's not a major book. It's not a key book at all. It is not. It is Miss Marvel number 13. Now the question is, Rich, why do you have a Miss Marvel number 13? Well, first off, it's a 9.8, which trying to find a 9.8 from that time period is pretty hard. But it is also a dual sign, both witness, obviously, because it's CDC. Stan Lee and Chris Claremont. So I was able to knock off two names off of. I want to have at least one signature from everybody. I do have a McFarlane. It's on the wall behind me. It didn't make the top 50. I like McFarlane. He's not Stan Lee. To me, he's not Claremont. He's not Kirby. He's not Adams. You know, McFarlane. I like his Spider-Man stuff, but there's other artists and other creators that are more important to me in my heart. So as always, though, Stan Lee, as you can see, has signed right by the words, right through Marvel, so black on red lettering with black backgrounds, stands out so perfectly. Thank you. And I can't remember where Claremont is. Let me see if I can find that for you guys. Oh, no, that's Claremont's signature through Miss Marvel. Stan Lee, I couldn't even see that. His black signature is right on the yellow bad guy there. Ooh, that comes up pretty nicely. And there's Claremont. So, that's... I actually had a different Stan Lee comic book. It was one of the Spider-Man ones. It was a Dynamic Forces, which I got before he had passed away. So, books were not that expensive. I sent it in. I got it graded. Came back, I think, in 8.5. And then I gave that as a Christmas present to my friend's son. And... giving a Stan Lee signature to a 12-year-old, I would have been better off buying him a game for PlayStation or whatever. So a friend of mine that passed away, now 2 years ago, wow. He used to do a Facebook auction, and one of the very first auctions that I ever found him on and became, this is where we met. I bought this book, and he said, if you send this in a grading, it's going to get about a 6.0. Well, true to his word, my Doctor Strange 169 came back a 6.0. And this was like the first book that I ever bought from him, so I know the price has dropped on this. I don't care. This is a very important book to me, and I am still very glad to have it in my collection and very blessed to have known him. Okay, we're going to have another. I have to check the year. We have a 1936 book coming in, and this is number 27. It is a Mickey Mouse magazine, which I know you're like, it's a magazine, it's not a comic book. Yes, but all the stories were then reprinted in Mickey Mouse Comics and Stories. This is from 1936, and what really makes this one cool is it is the first cover that Mickey and Pluto ever appeared on together. So that's a really, really cool book. And honestly, this thing does present so much nicer than a 1.5. So I'm not going to complain that. It does say that the cover is detached. The puzzles are filled out on the 4th, 12th, and 13th pages in pencil. I don't care if the puzzles are... they didn't rip them out. And there is an ad on the back for free Mickey Mouse toothpaste. So even in 1936, they were slapping the mouse on things and selling everything that was merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. And you're not gonna get to see the next book yet. Why are you peeking? Yes. This is a book that has dropped a lot in price, but still has a really good value to it. And it's actually been on the hot list lately, so hopefully we get this character. I'd like to see first appearance of Mr. Sinister in XMen 221. Let me see if I can change the height of that a little bit. No, not yet. I got a couple more books because I have another magazine size coming up. Then I'll change the height. But like I said, this is a first appearance of Mr. Sinister. This is a direct sale version. 9.8. This book, I think, hit heights of like $1,100 at one point. It's now down to like $350. I did not pay $1,100, but I didn't get it for $350 either. I think it was like $480. So I'm not terrible in comparison to some of the other people, but I'm not as good as I would like to be. I don't do great on every single book I have. But if they do a resurgence of X-Men in the MCU, if they have their own movie, it's a very good chance that Mr. Sinister will be the villain in that. So here's hoping. So this is a character that did appear in a movie, and they did a lousy job of it. And it didn't take off the way I had hoped. A lot of people had hoped. We have Flash number 139, first appearance of Dr. Zoom, Reverse Flash. And yes, if the movie itself wasn't such a horrible dumpster fire, I'm sorry. I know some people liked it. I didn't. I think if you could chop off the first 15 minutes and the last 10 minutes and just play what was in the middle, I think you had a good film. But the beginning and the ending, there were people that were talking about leaving, like walking out of the theater. And that's how, yeah. Sorry, a little bit of coffee keep me going. But I don't, I got this not built up from the movie hype, not after the crash, but at a decent time for a decent price. So first appearance of Reverse Flash rather. In a DC book, which that was my mission in 2022, was to get some more key books in DC to add to my collection, because everything was, I was like 99% Marvel, and I felt it was unfair if I was going to be saying, hey, this is a comic book channel, I should represent comic books, not just one specific company. So I did add a few key books to my collection, and one of them is coming in at number 24. It's a lower grade, but sometimes, like I say, low grade is better than no grade. We have FF number 49 in a 3.5 off-white page. First full appearance of Galactus, second appearance of Silver Surfer, and I think it's his first appearance on the cover. So, yeah, it's a key book. And the characters down here on the bottom, the Fantastic Four, That is the picture that they used on CGC's label for when they had the custom label of the Fantastic Four. Okay, after this book, I'll adjust the camera. Now, this book was the first one of the magazine size that I had gotten for Mrs. Ohana. And this is a green label, but talking about a very early I forgot to check the year, 1938 Whitman Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, several key things about this book. One, it is the first comic book adaptation, first adaptation of the movie in a comic book form. Even though it's an oversized like a magazine, it's still the first time they did it. It's the first time that they made a comic book adaptation of any of Walt Disney's movies. And this is the only copy on the CGC census. So even though it is a I think semi-detached cover, I think one staple is holding on, one's not. I'm not going to complain about the grade because it's not like I can upgrade. There are none. And even the back cover looks really great. I mean, that's a very nice green. Showing the dwarves themselves looking out the window. Oh, sorry, coming in the door. What am I saying? Yeah, they're peeking through the door like, who's been sleeping in my bed? So, yes, and here's hoping that they don't ruin it with the next live action. I understand times have changed. But you know what? If the original movie offends you that much, then don't remake it. Just come up with a whole brand new story. So, I'm going to switch back to this. And I'm not going to be able to see that camera, so I'm going to guess here on the height. No, I'm not. I'm gonna show the book and then adjust it as we're... No, you know what? I can pause this. What am I doing? Okay, so it's adjusted as far as height, but I'll have to turn it because it's a very white screen when I'm paused, so I don't know if I got glare. Anyway, number 22 on the list, we have Aquaman number 1. So, hey, I actually got the right amount of no glare, and it's a good height. It's pretty decent. Not bad at all. But I think I need to move my stuff back over here so I have more room. So yes, this was during my purchases this year, 2023. I wanted to add those key books for DC to bring some more legitimacy, and you can actually see right over here also another couple DC books over here. Swamp Thing, First Appearance of Constantine, Swamp Thing number 1. Yeah, so like I said, I was trying to represent DC better than I had been. And got a nice book out of it. Up. Over. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, this is a book that, honestly, I didn't even know existed. A lot of times I'll go on eBay and I'll like type in CGC search and I just put it in comics ending soonest. And I'll scan for like the next hour, see if there's anything trying to sneak through. And I saw this book with like 20 minutes left. I'm like, what the heck is this? This was a book? I thought this was made only by Marvel. No, this was from 1948. And it's a decent edition, and I got it for a really good price. It was Tarzan number 1 from Dell Publishing. And the White Savages of Vari. So yeah, 7.0 for now Tarzan had appeared in comic books. It's not his first comic book appearance, but this is his first appearance in his standalone comics. Now, most people, when you say Tarzan number 1, they're thinking of the 1977 Marvel run. But yeah, this absolutely predates that, and it's a great book that I love the look of. Even look at the painted back cover of that. Oh, it's a great book. It's a great piece of comic book history here, and I am very happy that I was able to add that to my collection at number 21. So we have a book coming in at number 20. We're at the top 20. getting there. This is a book that came out, the published release date was 666 in June of 1966. We have Batman 181, first appearance of Poison Ivy with that centerfold like I was talking about earlier. So, yeah, this is a book that is, it's a great book to have. It stands out, and all that red is just, anytime you get a solid color, it really shows off all the imperfections. But this one actually looks decent. I think they were a little harsh with the grade of 3.0. But, and I got so happy when I received this that I proceeded to drop and crack the slab. Now, this is the only slabbed book that I have, comic book wise, that is cracked. I'm waiting for a couple more so I can send them all at one time. But with all the controversy right now, I don't want to have any reholdered books for a little while. I have a couple of magazine size, and I did email them to ask them if I sent in a magazine and a regular for reholder, is that one submission? And they said, no, we'll split it and charge you separate processing fees and shipping fees and all the fun fees and fees and fees and fees. So, yes. This is coming at number 19 is why you don't buy books while you're intoxicated. I was doing a live stream, and I was, having like a couple of shots of Fireball, I think, that night or something, and talking with Greg, and I think that's when the news broke that Neil Adams had passed. And I had been talking with Greg about getting a Neil Adams autograph for a while, but now he'd passed, like, oh man, those books are probably going to go up in price. So as we're chatting with people, I went on and got a Batman 251 signature series from Neil Adams. And it's not the highest grade, but it's his, in my opinion, arguably his most iconic cover. He's made a lot, but that's his most iconic. It's a key storyline. That's where the Joker starts to switch from the goofball that everybody associates with the Batman Campy series to the homicidal maniac genius that he is today. And I say genius because he's smart, not because, he's such a great person for killing people. No. But it is signed by him, right down here at the bottom. There we go. And yeah, during the live stream, I'm like, yeah, man, I just got one. Yeah. Yeah. How much did I pay? It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's fine. Next morning, I was like, how much did I spend? Oh, jeez. So, like I said, not all my purchases are the best. I mean, I've got some good ones, don't get me wrong. Yes, 1992. Here's a book that I think is underappreciated still. I think we really got to get this character in the MCU. And I can't wait to see the first appearance of Squirrel Girl. This is a square-bound 80-page book in a 9.8 white page. And I'm so glad that this one is part of my collection. Again, this book has come down a little bit in price since I purchased it, but I didn't, it had not enough, not like the 221. And unlike the 221, I actually have a little bit of regret saying I wish I had waited. This one, I'm like, no, I love this book. I love the character. I read this. I thought it was funny. I didn't crack it and read it. I read it a reader copy. And yeah, I have no buyer's remorse in this. So great book for me in my collection. And let's see, where are we now? That was, ooh, we're going to number 17. Ooh. Coming up at number 17. This is a book that I succeeded slightly in a mission. I purchased a book that I thought was a candidate for a clean press and resubmission, and I was trying to go from a 7.0 to at least an 8.0. And such a small grade bump, it does make a difference, because on this particular book, Batman Adventures number 12, first appearance of Harley Quinn. Every half grade has actually got some pretty steep increases in price. A lot of times you see these things that are like from a 7.0 to a 9.0. There's a difference of like $15. Here it's like $50 per grade. So I only went up a half of a grade, which covered the cost of resubmission and the cleaning pressing that I paid somebody for, because I was trying to make sure it was done. I think I do a good job. He advertises that he does do a good job. So I figured, he's got more experience than me. Let him try it. And we were both disappointed. We both thought we had the 8.0. But white pages, so still pretty happy with it. And I think if you look behind me recently, nope, wrong one, there we go, just recently over this shoulder right here, I got the first appearance of Harley Quinn in continuity, because the Batman Adventures is just of the cartoon series. It is not considered continuity, but this was the first time that they said, you know what, we're going to put her into the comics itself. Oh, yes. This is a Greg and I are Blood Brothers book. Coming in number 16, we've got Omega Men number 3, first appearance of Lobo in a 9.8. And this is the book that Greg had. I think he got this in a raw, and he sent it in for grading. I wound up buying a 9.8, but I was always drooling every time we're doing a show, and I'm looking. I see him, and I look off to the side, I see that book. I see him, I see that book. I'm like, man, I want to have that same book. Dude, give me that book. I want that book. Trade me. And finally I said, look, you know what? I'm going to buy the book. So this way we each have a copy of Omega Man number 3. So it was cool to me. And I did get it before the recent Lobo rumors. So it's gone up in price since I got it. So I'm okay with that. Of course, I'm okay. It's worth more, so I guess I'm all right. Sometimes some of that other stuff comes out of my mouth. All right, I bumped the stand. I probably got glare now, but I've got 2 copies of this, and this is the higher of the 2. We've got an Ultimate Fallout number 4, first appearance of Miles Morales. No acetate anywhere within my room here. I also have a 9.2, and it's funny is if you look at the cover price for the last year and a half, the 9.2 has been worth more than 9.4. It's because people, when they're buying a 9.2, they just look up the 9.2 and say, oh, it's selling for this. People don't cross-reference it. So, I mean, if I could send this in and get a downgrade 1 point, it would actually be worth a little bit more money. But I like having a 9.4. I'm okay with that. Switch back. Oh, yes. This is going to shock a lot of people that this is not in my top 10. Because it's been in my top 10 for a while. But it still does come in at number 14. So it came close. Just shows you the quality of the books above it. We have Something is Killing the Children, number 1 in a 9.8. Now, I purchased this book a couple of years ago as the interest was starting to shoot up on this. And I think I paid just under $300 for this in a 9.8. When did it hit? 1,200? 1,400? They were just ridiculous numbers. But it has cooled off quite a bit. I think now you're getting copies for like $575 to $600, which is still double what I paid for it, so I'm fine. But my point is, this is becoming a Netflix series, and if they do anything like what The Last of Us was, this is going to have a resurgence and an explosion like you wouldn't believe. So if you ever wanted to get Something is Killing the Children, number 1 in a 9.8, this is a really great time to get it. The prices have dropped down tremendously, and this will absolutely, when the trailers start hitting, if this looks like it's going to be good, this will absolutely go back over $1,000. You heard it here, people. Oh, yes. Here's a book that Greg was like, I can't believe you got that. Yes. Number 13, lucky number 13. We're coming in with an Iron Man number 1. It's not his first appearance, but the origin was retold, and it is one of the 4 books that came out in 1968 with that big premiere issue circle. You had the Iron Man Submariner book, and of course the Captain America 100 book. All had them. And those books came out April and May of 1968, which means they came out a couple months earlier, but that was the dates that were put on it. So it's a very respectable, I guess you'd say, 4.0. A lot of books that's on a census, but Robert Downey Jr. Really killed this role. I mean, killed it. Good way. And I remember when I was a kid, Iron Man #1 in a mint condition was like $40. So stores had them and couldn't give them away. Now, because of Robert Downey Jr., that book that was the cheapest of the three. The Submarine, the Captain America, and the Iron Man. Now it's the most expensive. Go figure, right? Fickle. You got all different people that have joined the comic book collector's market. A lot of them are speculators. They drove up the price. Books haven't gone the way they wanted, so they jumped out, hence the downturn. But there will always be collectors that will stick around, and in the long run, those books will go back up again in price. Coming in at number 12, this is a book that I really wanted to get, and this is the only PGX book in my collection. But sometimes beggars can't be choosers. I have a Hawkman, number 4, first appearance of Zatanna in a 3.0. And I've looked at this book. I haven't seen the inside, obviously. It does seem to be a 3.0. I've talked with other people, collectors and dealers, and they said usually the low grades, a 3.0 is a 3.0 is a 3.0. It's when you get to the 9.8 is a 9.2 in other companies. That's where they had a problem. But yeah, this is a book that I was looking for week after week, month after month, trying to be patient, trying to find that deal, and I found one. And it was before the hype of the Black Adam movie, where people were speculating that there was going to be Zatanna in it because they were seeing Dr. Fate and Hawkman. So the book shot up and then it came back down again. But I think James Gunn is not going to allow a character like Zatanna to be not exploited, I guess you'd say. And then we have coming in at number 11, one shy of the top 10. And this is going to surprise people because this is one of my favorite books. But even though it's a great grade and it's an expensive book, it's also a book that's easy to find. So I did not put it, that's one of the criteria. Number 11 on the list, Star Wars #1 with a green Vader, but a nice solid 9.0. And I got this for an excellent price at the beginning of 2023, and prices dropped, and they still haven't dropped down to the price that I paid for it. So I'm still happy. There's no buyer's remorse with this, and this is the book that made me decide I am going to shoot for the entire collection from 1 through the end in a 9.0 or higher. So if you saw the last video, you know there was one book that I was able to upgrade. I'm not going to tell you what the book is. You got to go back and watch it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the link here. So yes, if you want to see that, just make sure you click on that link. It should be right over here. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Click on like and subscribe. Please, really appreciate it if you do. Drop a comment down below. I'd love to know the comic books that you got in 2023. What are some of your best books? And if you want to check us out on Patreon /TeamOhana, join the Coconut family for only $3 a month and get free comics. We'd love to see you there. Until I see you in the next video, which we got a bunch coming out. Mahalo.